Hello, River family. So glad that you're with us. Pastor David here. No matter where you are, what you're doing, you live in another country, you live in another state, we want you to know that we consider you a part of our family, online family, part of our family. So if you have prayer needs, please let us know. office@theriverabilene.com. Email us there. We will put our prayer team on it. We'd love to be able to connect with you in that way. And I want to let you know about just a couple of things that are going on in the life of the church. First of all, next Sunday will be the beginning of our Share Your Faith with Confidence class. It'll be Sundays at 10:30. So go to the first service and then go to your class. The second service at 10:30 will be room A104. Also, our Men's Advance, not a retreat, but a Men's Advance is coming soon. It'll probably be in June. We're had a couple of scheduling conflicts, so we're moving that to June. And then here's the big one. June the 9th through the 11th is our Scuba VBS. We want to encourage you to sign up your kids, get involved, volunteer, be a part of it. It's just really important for you to be in the life of your children as they grow. Scuba VBS, June 9th through the 11th. You should be able to sign up online with that. Also, if you want to participate in just the amazing, exciting things that God is doing at the river, even though maybe you're not able to be here in person, you can do that through giving. There's 3 different ways you can give. You can give by mailing a check to 539 U.S. Highway 83, Abilene, Texas 79602, or you can give by secure text, or you can give by going online, theriverabilene.com. Go to the drop down and you can securely give there. We've been talking more and more about that resistance to the love of God can just be so brutal for our lives. He has so much for us. And it's kind of crazy to think about the fact that he might actually use a weather metaphor to make a point. So here's your question. What percentage of 5-day and 7-day forecasts are actually accurate? We'll see you in a sec.
Creation is not silent. It speaks, it shouts, it testifies. From the first, let there be, to the last breath of every storm and sea, the world itself has never stopped proclaiming the majesty of God. The heavens don't whisper, they roar. Stars burn sermons into the night, and galaxies swirl in sacred choreography, declaring the glory of the Lord. Every sunrise is a testimony. Every sunset, a signature. The mountains lift their arms like choirs, and the oceans crash like cymbals of praise. The wind dances through the trees, and even the stones hum a hymn beneath our feet, because everything he made still remembers his voice. It was his word that sparked the light, his breath that filled the sky, his hand that shaped the dust and called it human. Creation bears his fingerprints, etched in the bark, woven in the tide, written in the rhythm of the tide and time. The psalmist said, "The heavens declare the glory of God," not suggest, not imply, declare. And they've been declaring ever since. Every thunderclap, his majesty. Every lightning strike, his might. Every still, quiet morning, his mercy new again. Even the vastness of space bends beneath his reign, for no distance can stretch beyond his name. And if creation is the witness, then we are the response. We, made in his image, are the echo of his glory. So when we lift our hands, we join a chorus that never ended. A song that began before the first dawn, still rising through time, still pointing to the one who said, "Let there be." And there was, and it was good, and it still is, because all of creation still testifies, still magnifies, still glorifies the majesty of God.
So how are you doing in your experience of God's love? How deep have you encountered the love of God? Here's what I want to tell you. There's more. There's still more. And the premise of this whole idea, this whole sermon series, is the fact that every person, whether they've been walking with God for 75 years or they just started walking with God, there's more. The love of God is cavernous. And there's all kinds of encounters that Jesus have that sort of give us a snapshot or a picture of how people missed a genuine, exciting, potential moment to encounter the depth of the love of God. So if you got a Bible, I want to encourage you to go to Matthew chapter 16. Matthew chapter 16, we're going to go through one such encounter. Matthew chapter 16, we'll start in verse 1. The Pharisees and the Sadducees. Now we need to stop there for just a minute. They're coming together. It says that they came to Jesus. And whenever it says and, that sort of the article there is telling us they've come as partners to try to do what they're going to do. Now, let me tell you, this doesn't happen. This just does not happen. The Pharisees and the Sadducees are kind of theological enemies. They have multiple points. The biggest being is the Sadducees only hold to one part of the Tanakh, and then the Pharisees hold to all of it. And they're very legalistic about it. The modern equivalent would be maybe a very conservative, fundamental type Christian with a very progressive, sort of not really legitimizing the Bible type Christian. It'd be that sort of spread. And so they don't get along. They're political enemies as well. You see, the Pharisees are holding on to the trueness and the legitimacy of Israel as its own contained country. And the Sadducees have political power and wealth, and they are collaborators with the Romans because that protects their power, their political prowess, as well as their pocketbooks. So they have stayed in that. So this is really, really different on that. The Sadducees believe there's no resurrection. They don't believe when you die, it's it. The Pharisees believe in a resurrection of the dead. The Sadducees are the wealthy elite, and the Pharisees are basically the people's religious leaders. So the Pharisees are actually really popular. And I think one of the mistakes we make in Scripture is when we go through and we look at, say, the community of the Pharisees, and we immediately go boo hiss, as though there isn't some sort of proper sincerity about what they're doing. They missed something really important, but we don't have to immediately align them pre-Jesus as evil. That would probably be an overstatement or a thought that's too expansive. The Pharisees and Sadducees came to Jesus and they tested him. Now that word test is an interesting word. It basically means the same thing that happened in the wilderness with the enemy. So testing means to prove something out, make sure something's correct, but it also involves the idea of temptation. So they're kind of testing him to see if he's legitimately from God, and they're tempting him to see if he will fall to their little exercise. He says, they came to Jesus and they tested him by asking him to show them a sign from heaven. A sign from heaven. Semeion. The word for sign literally means some sort of distinguishable miracle that basically appears in the sky as a direct sign that it was coming from heaven. And so all that Jesus had done was inadequate in their minds as to being able to accept him, being able to legitimize him as the potential Son of God. And so therefore they are like, all right, you prove to us, you show us that you're God, that you are the Son of God by getting your Father, our Father, to show a sign from heaven. Something distinguishable, something remarkable, something, something dynamic, a huge star, a shooting, something. Give us something in the cosmos that makes us go, okay, this must be God's Son. Now watch what he said, a sign from heaven. He replied, now hold on to this because it's fun. When evening comes, you'll say, it will be fair weather, for the sky is red. And in the morning, today it will be stormy, for the sky is red and overcast. You know how to interpret the appearance of the sky, but you cannot interpret the signs of the times. Now, he's using a weather forecasting metaphor. This crazy weather forecasting metaphor. It's maybe something similar to say, April showers bring May flowers. There's something going on here where he's saying, listen, you can see and kind of figure out that there's a sign that needs to come from heaven. You can figure out that's what you're wanting, but you can figure out that if the day looks like this, it's probably going to rain tonight. If the day looks like this, it's probably going to rain today. It's probably going to be a storm. You can figure that out, but standing in front of you is love incarnate, who's proven his love by his actions and his reactions, and you're completely missing it for something else. And so I want you to think about the fact that standing in front of the Pharisees and the Sadducees, known enemies who have come together because they see Jesus as a threat and as an enemy and is very suspicious, they've come together, they are strange bedfellows at best, come together to be able to test Jesus, and standing in front of them is Jesus, the Savior of the world. Now consider the love, the salvation, the transformation, the new life, the Holy Spirit, the new purpose in life, all that is awaiting them, and they want a sign. And so Jesus, this is in disgust, okay? It's not Jesus going, hey, have you thought about this? It's not Jesus being kind of neat and sweet. It's Jesus actually calling them on a carpet. He's saying, listen, you can predict the weather, but you're missing God in front of you. So put that away. There's a reaction. And here's what I want you to think about. Within each of us, to encounter the love of God, when we get close to a move of God, when we get close to a really defined moment of encountering His love and grace, a lot of time there's something that reacts within us. For the Pharisees, there's probably a reaction in relation to the fact that he's not holding on to certain Mosaic laws in the way that they have interpreted should be held on to. And he's getting really popular. The Pharisees are the people's religious leaders, and now they're beginning to lose a little bit of their momentum. The Sadducees they're worried about the fact that if this rabbi comes up and creates a riot or creates a movement, then that means the Romans are going to come down on the leaders, the local leaders, as in the Sadducees, and that means that they could lose their political power, they could lose their religious power, and they could lose the lining of their pocketbooks. So both have something to lose, but there are many sort of false messiahs that appear in Jerusalem. Jesus is especially threatening because there's something greater going on within them, and the exposure to Jesus and His teachings and His actions and His reactions is causing something to swirl within them so much so that they want to test him in hopes of trapping him and eliminating him. Now watch how he continues to respond. He said, a wicked and adulterous generation looks for a sign, but none will be given except for the sign of Jonah. Wicked and adulterous generation. He uses this exquisite, interesting viewpoint from predicting the weather. By the way, in case you were wondering, 5-day forecasts are 90% accurate now. I don't know who made that decision, they're 90%. 7-day forecasts are 80% accurate right now. I find that hard to believe personally, but maybe that's the way it is now, and all that sort of stuff. And it reminds me a lot, just kind of a funny thing about our cat. Our cat really enjoys storms, so when it's raining, it's purring. Okay, stick with me. He uses this weather analogy to say you're missing what's obvious, and then he moves to them being a wicked and adulterous generation. Now hold on to this idea. The word wicked is ponera, and it means evil, but it also means calamitous, as in causing calamity, as in they are a generation in chaos. It says that this wicked and adulterous, mochei, it means unfaithful, adulterous. This generation that is in a kind of a chaotic, calamitous state, unfaithful to the true living God, and that they want a sign. And he said there's only going to be one sign. It's going to be the sign of Jonah. The sign of Jonah, everybody knows when he says that. It's not euphemistic, it's everybody knows. The sign of Jonah is the fact that Jonah preached to Nineveh and they repented and they changed. That's the sign. He's preaching, he's bringing the kingdom, he's making sense of it. But it's also the sign, probably the biggest metaphorical understanding of that is that Jonah went in the belly of the whale for 3 days and then he reappeared. He's foreshadowing the resurrection, the death, the resurrection of himself. 3 days, and then he reappears. So let's go on. Now what's this? That's the only sign you're going to get. And then he says, Jesus then left them and went away. It's like it says he went away and he went away. He left them, he left them. It's like he says it twice. There's a certain emphasis on this that leads one to believe that Jesus, in a very imperative way, turned away and marched off. He saw that they weren't going to get it. So let me just lay out a couple, 3 things that I hope you can chew on. I hope you can consider whenever it comes to this idea of the things that hold us back from the love of God, because that resistance to the love of God is brutal. Resistance is brutal. And the first thing is this. God is working all around you to pour his love on you. You see, they're trying to get him to do a sign in the sky when in fact he had done signs on the earth. There had been healings, there had been miracles. He touched the untouchable. He loved the unlovable. He brought into the kingdom people who are not supposed to be brought into the kingdom. He took a group of Galilean rednecks and made them warriors. So they couldn't, this is what I want you to hear, their hearts were so chaotic, calamitous, unfaithful, that they were demanding a sign of authority when the sign of his love was all around them. Standing in front of them, they're looking in the eyes of the embodiment of the love of God. And yet they wouldn't receive it. They just wouldn't receive it. Here's the second thing I really want you to kind of hold on to. The blockade to love many times comes through some sort of past trauma or bad theology connected to past trauma. You see, the Pharisees and the Sadducees had some bad theology. They both had some bad theology. They also had personal experiences that none of us really know or have defined. And because that was the driver, they struggled to encounter the love of God. They fought to have that divine encounter. Jesus is wanting to bestow love upon them, but they cannot accept it because it doesn't fit with what their heart believes is correct. It can be a blockade. You see, the love of God displayed around us should be enough. Trauma or bad theology that's not biblical shouldn't come to the forefront and become a part of the DNA of our existence and our mission as followers of Jesus Christ. It's a really rough combination. It's a really rough combination that causes one to miss the love of God as they were hung up in the law of God. As they were hung up in the power. As they're hung up in what had happened in their past. So, here's a final question. If your position, I think this is super relevant for us, if your position is that you as a Christian, your position as a Christian is that you live in a constant attitude toward God of prove it. I'm a Christian, but you prove it, Lord. You prove it. You prove it. You show me. You show me that you're really God. You show me that you have authority to do these things. You show me that you can actually do something supernatural. You show me if you're in a prove it attitude, there are two subsequent questions. One is, are you missing the love that he is displaying and trying to pour on you all around you? Are you missing it? Because you're pounding the gavel of prove it. Prove it, prove it, prove it. And secondly, is there some bad theology, non-biblical understanding, or trauma-driven theology that is you're holding on to, keeping you warm at night, that's keeping you from the love of Jesus Christ? It may be time to surrender that. It may be time to let that go. When I was a kid, my grandparents lived out in the country next to a little lake, and feral cats everywhere. And this mama cat had 4 or 5 kittens, and of course, the minute any noise, just noise, and they were gone. They'd disappear. They'd hiss at you. They were just really, really obstinate and not desiring of any relationship with human beings. I had to be there for about a week one time, just me and my cousin and my grandmother, and we were kind of bored, and I just determined I'm going to win one of these kittens. And over time, sitting in their presence, a little bit of food, a little quick touch, just over time, this one kitten who had yellow stripes, I called him Old Yeller, had yellow stripes. I was a kid, give me a break. He had yellow stripes, And over time, he went from angry, hissing at me, running from me, hiding from me, to sleeping in my lap in the house and living this exquisite life of good food and air conditioning and following me everywhere I went. And I think, you know what? That's a little bit like us. We have things in our lives that we put up against the love of Jesus Christ. Maybe subconsciously or consciously. And in the course of that, we miss a moment in which God would have transformed our lives, and our experience, not just understanding, but our experience of the love of God would expand unbelievably to a point where his love is larger than what we can describe. Because his love transforms us and transforms those around us. The Pharisees and the Sadducees, strange bedfellows, didn't even like each other. But as they addressed Jesus, they could not accept love incarnate in front of them for a variety of reasons. What are your reasons for not accepting the full measure of God's love for you? And if you're living in a constant drum of prove it, God, then there's something within you that needs to be addressed. There's something within you that is prohibiting the love of God from exploding in your life. My encouragement, don't be like these Pharisees and Sadducees and miss the love of what God does around them. Miss the love of God incarnate in front of them. Their self-protection, their religiosity, their potential loss of power, all that was too big to really see the sparks of his love and say yes, which would have absolutely transformed their lives. We do know that a couple of Pharisees came to Jesus. We do know that. Even though he walked away, he didn't give up on them. And he won't give up on you. If you're fighting to love God, you may have been a Christian for a long, long time, but if you're fighting his love, I encourage you to allow him to wipe away the places that are absolutely stoppages to the full encounter. It's worth it. Lord, in the next few moments, I pray you just work in everyone's life. Bring about a conviction and an encouragement. Lord, that just like the Pharisees and the Sadducees couldn't see the signs of love around them, I pray that that would be broken in us and we would see the signs of love all around us. And that we would end the mantra of prove it, prove it, prove it. And we would just say yes. Knowing that God's love for us is more than we can even define. In Jesus. Amen. You know, resistance to the love of God is brutal. It's pretty brutal. I want to encourage you to stop resisting. We'll see you next week.